Hey guys, what's up? It's Roth and Joshua here to talk about the Arrow season finale, Unthinkable. What do you think overall?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. There's some things it didn't do quite so well, and it definitely wasn't as good as the season 1 finale, but it was pretty satisfying.
Yeah. I think it was too. Overall, I really enjoyed it. I want to dig into some of the particulars, though, starting with the number one thing that fans are talking about, and that I was talking about after it aired, which was the Felicity fake-out. Damn you, CW, for toying with my emotions that way.
Seriously, guys, like, oh my gosh. When that happened, I was watching it late at night, my roommate was asleep, but I was like pretty much like screaming at the TV, like, oh my gosh, like.
We've been waiting for this moment, and it's like he finally sees the light.
Yeah, that was like the big twist. Although at the same time, I was like, I don't quite buy this because he never seemed that into her, and then they didn't like kiss to sort of like.
No, he totally did. He was jealous. He was jealous when she was flirting with Barry.
That's true. That is true. But that was more like, hey, you're playing with one of my toys.
Yeah.
No, that sounds awful. But yeah, I didn't feel it. And then if they didn't kiss, I was like, something's up. And then it ended up being a fake out in the end. Yeah. And he just kind of walked away from her on the beach. Like, how do you do that?
I know. It's funny because we'll move on, I swear. But I tweeted like all caps swoon when that moment happened. And I think that the people on the East Coast were like, you're getting a little ahead of yourself here. You know, it's not really. But the minute when he left the house, I was like, oh my God, he knows he bugged the house, and this is a fake out, and that's kind of mean. She's bait now. But he also showed. I thought it was nice that he showed a lot of faith in Felicity to be able to basically she saved the day.
Yeah.
You know, by being able to inject Slade with the cure. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Here, take this arrow and shove it in the face of the biggest, most dangerous villain
man on the planet.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty cool, and I think that they're just going to string us along for probably another full year. We might get it by the end of next season.
I actually don't think they need to be together. As like crazy as that was when that happened, I don't feel like we don't need like the two people to like wind up together. It's like Harry Potter and Hermione didn't wind up together. They were just really good friends.
And as a matter of fact, J.K. Rowling says she regrets that.
But that's no. Let's go with what's canon in the books. But anyways, let's keep talking about Arrow.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move back to
the other thing I really loved that was just like gave me like comic book nerd goosebumps was when Roy got his red mask, he was in with a red hoodie, and was shooting arrows while fighting Slade's goons. That was so cool. That was so awesome.
Well, that kind of brings us, that was awesome. I think there were a lot of nice little moments like that. I think, let's go on to, I can't speak right now because I'm so excited about Arrow, but let's move on to the actual fights themselves. What did you think of them overall? I thought that last scene between Slade and Ollie was awesome. The way it was intercut and the choreography was really cool. But you said you were a little disappointed about the tunnel, and I think that you have a point there.
Yeah, that when they brought both fights to like a climax at the same time, that was awesome. That was really cool. But the tunnel fight seemed weird because none of Slade's goons actually like really seemed to like land a punch. They still had the Mirakuru in them, but it felt like they had already been exposed to the cure at that point, and they were all taken out with just a quick like arrow stab by. You know, there was no like tension to it. It was like all dissolved like very quickly.
Or consequence. I think the other thing about that fight too was that even if they had the cure, these were still sort of fierce criminals that could have fought. Ultimately, the League of Shadows is going to take them down. Let's talk. That brings us to Sarah and her big decision. That was kind of. I mean, do you think when she handed that jacket over, she was passing the mantle to Laurel? Is Laurel finally now going to become the Black Canary?
I think so. That she gave her the jacket, and but it seems weird because Sarah was such a good Black Canary.
I thought she was great.
And actually, people were afraid that she was going to die in the season for that to get passed on. And the way they went to allow her to live, but still pass on the mantle, was sort of weird because it was such a big deal for her to not go home with the League of Assassins, and she also had a relationship with Ollie. But all that seemed to just not count in the finale,
ultimately.
And she just left, and like almost like they were sending her off to college or something. It was weird. But Laurel, she's gonna have to work out.
Yeah.
Do a lot of training because Black Canary in the DC Comics is considered to be one of those formidable like hand-to-hand combatants.
That was one of the things I immediately thought when she handed her the jacket. I was like, that's cool, and I'd actually think that might be cool to see it happen, but I loved actually Sarah as that character. And if you saw that woman, man, she is ripped to shreds in those workouts. She has muscle mass, and I think that they're going to need to show some real training and real struggle for Laurel to get to that point.
Laurel needs to go to her own island and get some training.
She was trained for 5 years. You gotta earn that stuff. Let's talk a little bit about drone happy Amanda Waller. Now, I think she's a really cool character. I think she is so trigger happy on those drones. She's just like, I stubbed my toe, drone strike. Like,
yeah, that was
what did you think about
much for her to immediately be like, oh, there's a few dozen superpowered soldiers in the city. Let's bomb it to get rid of them. She has seems to have a lot of resources at her disposal. But I'll say this, that in the Avengers movie, they also tried to do a drone strike on New York, although that was a much larger scale invasion. That you could see why they do a drone strike, but this, couldn't quite buy it. And then the weird sort of twist they threw in that Diggle, you're going to be a father. What was that? That sort of weird thing they threw in to, I think, just seed something for season 3. There was a lot of things like that.
I think they were trying to seed a lot of things for season 3.
Officer Lance he's like, oh, did he not check his wounds the day since that happened? He starts coughing up blood. Like, is he okay?
No, I know. Well, I kind of buy that with the adrenaline rush and so forth, and that you may actually not feel the severity of that wound for a period of time.
Like when you get in a car crash, you don't always feel it right away.
Yeah, so I kind of did buy that, but I do think that they were trying to sort of seed some things for next season. Also, they wrapped up some things in a different way than we might have expected this season. Certain people died very quickly, but Slade didn't. Do you think that he should have? I don't, because I think that was Ollie's arc the whole season.
Yeah. This was when we started with Arrow, he was not a hero, like in any sense of the word, really. And he's had to learn a lot of lessons. Season 1 was all about learning not to kill, and season 2 was learning about becoming a hero. And I thought that was so great. So really, the Arrow we have now is Arrow as we understand him in the comics. I think to be he earned it, and he says that to Slade, you turned me into a hero.
And I think that was a kind of poetic justice. Not only did you not ruin my life, you made me so much better than I was before. So live with that on this island for the rest of yours. Although I think we will see him again.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's too good not to just kill him, yeah.
So Thea and Malcolm, there were some people that were hoping that there would be sort of a team up, that he would show up for the fights as well. I think that they needed to stay contained because they can't know he's alive yet. Pretty sure, we're all speculating he's taking her off to train her to be something.
Yeah, and her name, the Thea, her middle name is Dearden, and Mia Dearden is the female Red Arrow, Speedy, Green Arrow sidekick in the comic books.
Yeah.
So we've always thought that she might become something. So maybe she's going to go get some island training or something like that, and she'll come back as an archer. Not that the show needs another archer.
Do you think she would come back as more of a villain at first?
I think so, because she's pretty upset at both Ollie and Roy.
Yeah.
And that was sort of weird that, Roy's like, oh, I'm back. By the way, I'm going to sneak off and go fight in this tunnel battle and everything. So
yeah.
But overall, I feel like that's something I'm interested to see where that's going to go.
I think it is kind of interesting because she was called Speedy, but now Roy's there. It's an interesting thing to try and figure out who she would come back and be, but there's lots of possibilities. You guys let us know what you think in the comments below. There's so much to talk about in this episode, so we did the best we could to speed through it. Do you have any final thoughts?
I thought it was really good, and I just want to see more Roy shooting more arrows.
Let us know what you thought in the comments below, what you liked, what you didn't, what you're looking forward to in Season 3. And for all things Arrow, keep it locked to IGN.